Suzanne Monk, host of Trump Talk. Welcome to Trump Talk Special Edition. Today we are talking about Trump on taxes. I started this new little segment of Trump Talk because a friend of mine complained that he wasn't a Trump supporter and my show didn't tell enough stuff about Trump, about specifics about Trump. So I started this little bit. Trump Talk Special Edition, Trump on taxes. So we're going to talk specifically today about Trump's tax policy. If you go, all of this information, I'm just getting it simply from DonaldJTrump.com. Positions, tax reform is what we're talking about today. I'm just getting it straight from them because I'm not trying to get involved with all the interviews and compiling all that information. I know that's hard for people. I just want to make it simple where you can look at what he's already said very simply and get enough information to understand Trump's economic policies and why he is a far better candidate than Hillary Clinton in November. So, from DonaldJTrump.com/positions tax reform. Trump simplifies the tax code to 4 brackets. Anyone making up to $25,000 a year, single, $50,000 a year, married, and $37,500 head of household, zero tax. Now, there has been some different numbers flown out there, maybe 1%, whatnot. But from his position paper, his starting position is 0% for anyone making less than $25,000 single, $50,000 married. 10%, $50,000 single, $100,000 married, anywhere between $25,000 and $50,000, $50,000 and $100,000 married, and $37,500 and $75,000 head of household. You pay 10%, already way less. Okay, 20% rate. You pay if you're single from $50,000 to $150,000, you would pay 20%. Married, $100,000 to $300,000, you would pay 20%. And $75,000 to $225,000, you would pay 20% head of household. And anything above those numbers, you would pay 25%. Now, here's another interesting fact because Trump's policies also tie the capital gains rate to these 4 brackets. So, the capital gains rate for the lowest bracket, 0%. The capital gains rate also for the second bracket, the 10% bracket, 0%. Your capital gains rate is 15% for the 20% bracket. That's the second highest bracket. And for the highest bracket is 20%. These are lower rates, but they're significantly lower rates, particularly for the middle class, particularly how the capital gains will work out, how many of these brackets in the lower income brackets will pay a lot less in income tax. It certainly is, if you look at the recent tax calculators, the policies of Donald Trump save more money for almost any one of you. I'm pretty middle class. I know people are more middle class than me. But you will find that Donald Trump's tax policies save a great deal of money individually. But that's not the end of Trump's tax policies, okay? His business tax policies to lower the national business rate tax from what it is now, which is ridiculously high. It's like 36, 38%. It's ridiculous. Down to 15% for all businesses. Now, this is important fact to note because that 15% rate is one of the factors, of many, one of the big factors that will bring back growth and help growth in the economy to grow jobs, to get the growth numbers up, to pay for these tax cuts, and also to help us get out of the debt, get out of the deficit, and being able to start funding ourselves economically soundly, which is the overall map of Trump's plan. Business tax rate, lower the business tax rate. That brings businesses back. Part of the corporate inversion, part of the leaving is our high tax rate. That's one of the ways Trump plans to fix that. One of the other ways he plans to bring businesses back in tax policy. We'll talk about bringing business back in trade. This is just in tax policy. He has a repatriation discount of 10%, a one-time repatriation discount for people who have funds overseas. Businesses who have been keeping funds overseas, there's a one-time 10% repatriation discount. So that certainly is going to bring back a glut of capital that can be used for building up, investing, building new factories that will be being built because we've lowered the business tax rate. Also, we've lowered regulations and other things. We'll talk about that later on in other segments. But we're just talking about taxes today. Just in taxes, repatriation discount of 10%. Now, he will also plans to end the overseas tax deferral. There's a lot of little ways that big businesses fiddle with money overseas. So one of the ways in which Trump fixes a lot of that is he's shrinking some loopholes. He's shrinking the cap. He's increasing the cap on business expenditure deductions, phasing in a bigger cap. He is ending the overseas tax deferral while keeping the foreign tax credit, so you don't get double taxed. But he's certainly simplifying it. In part, he is able to simplify the tax code because he's worked with it so specifically. Mr. Trump is someone who has brought money overseas. He knows the loopholes, the forms, the rigmarole, all of the problems that these tax laws create, and can simplify them because of that. As we all know, many of us have done our taxes and have thought, if only I could be in the IRS and tell them how this is so stupid and how they could do it much more simply if they just did. That's what Trump is capable of doing. And his tax plan, if you go and read it, has many specifics about these details. For example, phasing out the life insurance exemption for the higher brackets. Keeping it for the lower brackets. There's a lot of middle class positive things. And frankly, for your burner friends, there's some things that maybe the strictest Republicans aren't really happy about. For example, phasing out the exemptions except for the higher brackets. Oh no, a few people making a little bit more money pay a little more taxes. Hello, we have a progressive tax system and have for some time. Improving the progressive tax system so that it is more effective for everyone. Everyone pays a lower rate. Certainly even the wealthy will pay a lower rate, but we are also going to shrink the loopholes in which they pay even lower and lower. And that's the problem we've always been having, and this is one of them. The carried interest for hedge funds and non-job creators, he's doing away with that. He's going to also eliminate the death tax, which is unfortunately causing a lot of people to small businesses to sell their business because the estate is in assets that are vital to the business. And we do not have an effective estate tax, death tax law in the United States. And it forces so many people who are trying to just pass a business down to their son or daughter or next of kin, makes it next to impossible because the assets are calculated and then the taxes are due and you have to sell the business in order to pay this ridiculous tax. And Mr. Trump would eliminate that, which would allow for families to save and invest in. It's an incentive to save and invest in a small business that you know you can pass down to your son if you know you're going to be able to do that and you're going to be able to not be taxed out of your business. So eliminating the death tax, that's something that I think conservatives should be very, very excited about. Now, these are just a few of the tax policies. There are several more details. If you read into Mr. Trump's interviews and other articles, there are several more details. The news has been talking about Mr. Trump said that he is flexible and there is negotiation. Of course, he started at a very, very low rate. Even the negotiations are obviously going to be significantly better than the rates we're paying now. And certainly the reason these rates are so low is that Mr. Trump knew he would have to argue with Congress. But keep in mind, who are we arguing with? Paul Ryan, the Republicans. These are the people who we're fighting with, unfortunately, right now, not just the Democrats, on these taxes and how low we could get taxes and how quickly we can grow our economy again. Yeah, that's the problem. So we're going to do some more segments later on about trade reform and about different cuts. These are the other ways that Trump is going to pay for these tax policies and bring back the growth, the economic growth that's so necessary to make that affordable. So tune in for the next Trump Talk special edition. We're going to do trade reform. We're going to do cuts and waste. And we appreciate you tuning in. Me and Little Trumpy, as always, tell you to go out and vote Trump. Share this with your friends and your skeptics. about taxes. Tell them to go to donaldjtrump.com/positions tax reform. Have a great day.